Nightcrawler.
Not that Nightcrawler.
Man, stupid Jake Gyllenhaal's goddamn news reporter movie.
Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
Alright, hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Partu. Joining me today is Mr. Steve Baxey.
Hello everyone.
Mr. Steve Baxey. How's it going?
Not bad. How's it going with you?
Pretty good. I just killed a man.
Oh, well that's lovely. Did you bury the body or burn it?
No, I decided to film it and send it around the world to get famous.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, was it in like a really rich neighborhood?
Nope.
Dang. Well, I guess they're not going to get many sales on that, then.
Damn it.
Did you use an intern at all?
Yeah. Well, everyone, this week we're discussing a truly inspiring story about one man's strive to achieve the American dream. It's about a man who works his way up from nothing and just has through the sheer will of his spirit and the ability of him to have a smile on his face and persevere through anything, he's able to get riches and wealth beyond his wildest dreams by starting his very own small business and truly understanding what it is to succeed in this country.
Yep, it's Ronald Reagan's wet dream.
Yep, exactly. So now being serious, I
was
think
serious, dude.
Yeah, I think this is the most scathing critique on capitalism I've ever watched in my entire life.
Yes, I was going to say the exact same thing.
And I read Alex's Twitter account.
No, I was going to say the exact same thing. This movie is beginning to end just a complete breakdown analysis of why capitalism does not work.
Well, no, I would disagree. I think it shows how capitalism works, not why it doesn't.
I think you can go with both ways on that.
Yeah, because clearly he's successful by his own definition, and certainly by the definitions of others from an outside perspective. I mean, if you didn't know what he'd done to get there, and you looked at this guy who runs a business, is dominating the market and everything, you'd say, from an objective standpoint, he's doing fairly well.
But I think the part of why I say it shows why it doesn't work, or why it's a system to not adopt, is we are inside his head for most of the movie, or if not the entire movie. And by the end of it, you get this feel of, it's one thing to be successful, it's another thing to, in your success, corrupt the people around you, which is exactly what he does.
Yeah, he literally turns a lady into a whore.
Yeah, pretty much. And at that point, I feel like that's when it's saying this is why capitalism is bad, as opposed to saying this is how capitalism works. Yeah,
I'd agree, but at the same time, I think this is they're showing why it's bad, but I don't think it's. I think it's showing why it's bad by showing just exactly how it's supposed to work. When you have.
Yeah.
There's been all these studies, and whenever I hear someone bring them up, I go, well, fucking duh. There's been all these studies where people have gone, oh, well, it turns out that people who are really successful at stock trading or anything to do with business have a higher rate of sociopathy.
Yeah, duh.
Fucking duh.
Of course. Has anyone taken a business class? Of course.
Why is anyone surprised by that?
Really?
That's just obvious to me. You get there's been all these metaphors in business for years about stabbing people in the back to work your way up the ladder.
Oh yeah, totally.
Roger Waters did a whole song about it. It's called Animals. Go listen to it.
There are interpretations of Welcome to the Jungle that say the exact same thing.
Fair enough, but animals is much more direct. I mean,
Oh, that's
like,
fair.
but there's very obvious references to like corporate culture with like, you know, the whole tie debate thing and stuff like that.
No, you're totally right. It's interesting to watch this movie and simultaneously be in a business program at school. Because it just makes me realize.
Were you taking notes?
Yeah, of course. It confirms the thing I tell everyone in my business honors program of, you realize we are just trained monkeys. And we are trained evil monkeys at that. And I mean, I don't mean to say that just because you do business you are an immoral person. It's a matter of there's a certain point of when using each other, even if it's for mutual benefit, that you just become bad people.
Yeah, like it's the whole realize that people. Not that I like Kant very much, but realize that people are means within themselves, not a means to your end.
Yeah, and I mean, even though you don't like Kant, you just through the whole history of moral philosophy, everyone agrees, at least on the sense that you should appreciate people for their own autonomy.
Yeah, and so, and I want to be fair to people that are watching this going, oh, well, you're misinterpreting the meaning or whatever. I'm like, no, I mean, there's so much, everything Jake Gyllenhaal's character says from start to finish is... It's corporate speak.
Oh, of course it is. He's practically quoting intro to business textbooks for the whole movie. There's no way you can get around saying that this film is not about capitalism and the problems with that system and the way that system works. That's the entire film.
Yeah, I know, and like it's so blatant the way he sounds like the kind of guy you'd like. The only word that's missing from his vocabulary is synergy. That's the one word I was waiting the whole goddamn movie to hear him say, and he never said it.
He didn't say that? Like, I could have sworn he said that.
When?
I don't remember, but I feel like he did. It seems like something he would say, I guess.
Yeah, like I could have sworn, I could swear that he doesn't say it throughout the entire film.
I mean, I've only seen it 2 times, so maybe I don't know for sure. But yeah, it seems like something he would say. So even if he didn't say it, I feel like the fact that you were waiting for it tells you something about the film already.
Oh, exactly. Like that's like. Honestly, the best place for it would have been in that final scene when he's got, you know, the 3 vans or whatever.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like, God, that was just so perfect. The way he gets all that, you see him get arrested. You know, you remember that shot-for-shot remake of Psycho that came out in, what was it, 98?
Yeah.
Yeah, the color remake.
Yeah.
See, Vince Vaughn shouldn't have played Norman Bates. They should have waited to remake that until today, and then had Jake Gyllenhaal play Norman Bates, because there's that scene...
I feel like if you did a Psycho reboot, you would cast Jake Gyllenhaal, yeah.
Yeah, like there's that scene toward the end where she's, you know, threatening him, and he's in the police interrogation, and she walks out, and he goes to the camera, and he goes, I like to tell people that if you're seeing me, you're having the worst day of your life. It's like, oh my God, it's so Norman Bates.
Oh, yeah.
It's so creepy. Like, I remember when I first saw the trailer for this movie, oddly enough, I watched it with my boss at the time at the news station. When I saw the trailer for this movie, there's that look, and the actual shots toward the end of the movie as well, where he's walking into the station to sell the big tape and everything. There's that look he gives, and he kind of like smiles and points.
Yeah.
He almost looks exactly like Christian Bale does in American Psycho a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
You know the shot I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, you're totally right. He's got that kind of presence. And I feel like American Psycho and this film are both talking about very much the same thing, so the performances are kind of similar.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's crazy how on point these 2 movies are. I think American Psycho, and I don't know how this was possible, I think American Psycho is a little bit more blatant, but...
have you read the book or no?
Yes, and oh man, I can never eat spray cheese again.
Yeah, I part of why I don't like reading, it's a really great book. The part of the reason I don't like reading the book is that there's just pages and pages of useless information to tell you why this is evil and useless. And that's great on film in a way it's not great on the page. So I feel like American Psycho is just built to be more direct, and that's kind of why I like this a bit more.
Yeah, fair enough. I think American Psycho in the book, he's trying to get you to just tune out and just be annoyed.
Oh yeah, that's totally a point, because you get to this opening section where he spends 3 or 4 pages just talking about the different types of aftershave.
Aftershave and facial products. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember specifically in high school, someone asked me what I was reading, and I just handed it to him, and he reads a couple pages. I'm like, this dude's gay. He's putting all this shit on his face. I'm like, yep, read into that. That's something I think the directors of American Psycho got wrong. I don't think Christian Bale's character or any of the men in that movie are gay, but whatever.
I think they had a couple scenes about that, but it's been a long time since I've seen that movie, so I don't know.
Well, there's like that one character who is gay, but I don't think like they talk about how all the men are like gay because they keep comparing themselves to the ideals of other men. I'm like, I don't think that's gay. I just think that's self-centered.
Yeah, I mean, they've got like an overly masculine thing going, like when Christian Bale's character looks at himself in the mirror when he's having sex.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that, that's there. But you're right, it doesn't necessarily mean homosexuality as much as it just means blatant egos and what's the word for it?
Narcissism?
Not narcissism, but getting off on yourself. There's a word for that.
Oh.
Whatever it's called. But back to Nightcrawler, because Nightcrawler doesn't do that per se. Nightcrawler is more about that type of character's effect on the world, as if like, what if Patrick Bateman was in our world? Is more of what this film is.
Yeah, and it is a lot more toned down. Oddly enough, though, last comparison to American Psycho for now, I think. I tweeted about this. Do you feel like this movie maybe kind of felt like at times it should have been taking place in the 90s?
I would say more so the 80s, but I can see
80s or 90s is what I was feeling.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this could have gotten away with being a period piece.
Yeah, I don't know why. It just, like, a lot of little things here and there just made it feel like the 80s or 90s to me.
Did you see...
I went 90s just to give him the cell phones.
Right.
Obviously, you still wouldn't have, phones with GPS if it was the 90s, but I just you kind of need the cell phone for a bit of that, so yeah, I'll give him the 90s.
Did you see Inherent Vice?
What is it?
Inherent Vice?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, it's a movie by Paul Thomas Anderson, and it takes place in the 70s, and it's kind of got the very same feel that we're talking about, and I feel like if American Psycho or Nightcrawler took place in any other time period, they would look a lot like Inherent Vice, or a lot in that Anderson style.
Okay. But yeah, it's like, I don't know why it felt so 80s, 90s to me, because, I don't know, I think this business is a little bit on the dead side.
Yeah, now it is.
That he's getting into these days, so, that was like one element of why I didn't think that it quite worked as well. Or it didn't feel very modern at times.
I feel like they could have gotten away with that if they sold us on the commentary on the internet a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Because the idea of commenting on viewership and getting all your information from internet sources, he does that, but it's never really about that. You could have very well substituted that for just him buying self-help books and stuff.
Yeah.
And if you made it more directly about the fact that reading Wikipedia is not the same thing as actually having human interaction, it would have worked a little bit better.
Yeah, there was that, and did you see that Kelsey Grammer show called Boss? It was on Showtime. It's on Netflix now.
One where the guy is in charge of a Chicago city or something?
Yeah, he's the mayor of Chicago. It's kind of like House of Cards meets Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I saw a couple episodes of that. I never got a chance to finish it, but it looked really good.
Yeah, well, that had a lot of commentary, like more modern media commentary. Like there was a guy who called all these stories that were coming out of the mayor's office chum bait because they could just release anything and all the media would flock to it like it was chum for sharks.
Right.
Whereas he would be looking for actual meat.
Right.
So a little bit more of the whole blogging journalism thing would have been more appropriate to the time, whereas this, like I said, just except for it's so weird because some of the technology actually feels out of place.
Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to say that, because when you get to some of the camera tech and some of the editing, I feel like he's doing this the way it would have been done 10, 20 years ago.
Well, depends on exactly how you... Because at times they do mention that he seems kind of out of date, because he's, running it to the studio as opposed to uploading it and blah, blah, blah. So it's one of those things where it's like, yes and no. Some of the techniques would be completely out of date, but other ones, part of that's just him being naturally behind since he's starting on his own and this is all he's got.
Right. And I mean, we could really easily read into that as just the capitalist tendency to destroy human connection is partly why he's that way, where he's advanced in some regards and backwards in others just because he doesn't have a sense of the world in itself as opposed to fictionalized value that capitalism creates.
Yeah. I don't know, like, just some of that stuff, I really think this would have worked better if it took place in the 90s, because some of the technology stuff is just there because it's the modern day, and it'd be weird if they didn't have that happen.
Right.
But if you'd said it in the 90s, you could totally get away with it. Like, the movie would not have to change much at all. You'd have to change, like, maybe 2 scenes, I think, and that's about it.
I think, conceit aside, though, this is a really good movie for it to come out right now, just for what it's talking about. Because switching it to the 1980s, 1990s would help it hammer its themes down a little bit more, but it wouldn't make the film, like, 10 times better or anything like that. It would just help us buy the premise more. I think the film is still completely perfect for coming out in 2014 and being right in the thick of that media culture and being on the high of stuff like Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert and what they talk about in terms of things like Fox News and MSNBC.
Yeah, I agree. It's just one of those things where it's like, it kind of irked at me in the back of my head a little bit throughout the whole movie, but I still did really enjoy the film. Let me tell you a news story, Steve.
Okay.
So I was working with a guy who's moved on to another station now, but he's been in the business for like 20, 30 years. And during the last election, he was out... No, during the 2008 election, my bad. He was at a station in Vegas, really big market. And I love this fucking story so much. And during the election, Vegas was a swing state. Or Vegas was in a swing state. So, political ads.
Right.
Just... Political advertisers were throwing money at the station to throw as many of their ads on. They had a half-hour newscast, and 15 minutes of that were political ads.
Oh, wow.
And so he's, like, talking to the sales department at that point, he's telling me. It's like, we're talking to them like, guys, we're a 30-minute show. We can't have 15 minutes of advertising. And the sales department was like, the hell we can't. We're going to take all of this while we can get it. And it is at that point in the story where I interrupted and said, journalism.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, because that is the modern state of journalism. So it's weird that's not involved a little bit, even though it gets in there toward the end when, he has them drop his company name every single chance they get.
I think the journalism thing plays better on the second viewing, because I had the same thing you did, where the first time I saw it, I'm like, I think the journalism thing could have been handled a little bit more directly. But going back and seeing the second time and getting, like, the slow progression of what people think the news is, and then working your way into what the news actually is by the end of the film.
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, it's crazy how much, like, I've been told, no, recut it so that it looks more cinematic.
Right.
And I'm like, no, this is the shit. This happened.
Right, yeah.
Like there was, during the last Israeli-Palestinian war, just last summer, there was this shot that came through the pipe of like a bombed out building, and there was, dead bodies and blood all around, and a UN truck came up to, I presume, offer assistance, and the people on the ground were just so angry they just started throwing rocks. They didn't even want the help at that point. They just started throwing rocks at the van and it drove off. And like I was told, no, edit out the rocks part, just cut it where the van pulls up. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that completely skews the point of what happened.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, it's so ridiculous how news has been turned into a selling point as opposed to as a selling point as an entertainment medium because of things like The Daily Show, which have mocked news for becoming that. Like it's so weird. It's like a kid on the playground being made fun of for walking weird, and then by being made fun of, he decides to walk even stranger, because that's somehow going to fix the problem.
It reminds me very much of that, the time Jon Stewart went on one of those CNN shows, Counterattack or Counterpoint or whatever it was called. Basically a show where two guys from two different sides of the aisle would argue. But it was a terrible series because it was hopelessly skewed, and it did more to perpetuate arguments than it did to actually solve or debate or intellectually discuss issues. So Jon Stewart went on the show and said, I'm not here to make jokes, I'm here to tell you that you are ruining America by making this mockery of a debate show. And they just said, well, you're the comedian. He says, well, I'm the comedian that's telling you that you're not doing your job. And he did it on live air. It was fantastic. But simply, even though he said that, all it did was made the situation worse. And it just turned into this big debacle instead of actually fixing any sort of issues.
Like, did you ever see the Robin Williams movie Man of the Year?
Yes.
Okay, Lewis Black has one of my favorite takes on the news media ever in that, and after this I think we'll get back to the movie more on its own. Lewis Black explains why he hates television in that movie, and he goes, and I'm reasonably sure they just let him go, I'm pretty sure this wasn't written down, he goes, television puts everything on the same level. You can have a historian who knows everything about World War II and the Holocaust on a television show, and then you can have a backwood idiot who denies the Holocaust ever happened on the same television show, and it puts these two on equal footing. Presenting them to you as if both of their opinions are just as valid.
Oh, yeah.
See, I think that's what news has done in a lot of ways. Is like there's this idea in journalism, this pride that journalism is supposed to take about being objective and equally presenting both sides of an issue.
Or at least to the best of your ability, because there's no arrangement of facts that are truly objective, but trying to get there is what the point is.
Yeah, and like, the problem with that is it's creating issues that are not issues. Like, it is creating a debate about global warming. There's no debate.
Yeah.
It is happening.
Oh yeah, totally.
Human involvement is a major factor. But it's creating this issue, like, that's not really there because they're trying, or at least they're feigning to represent all sides of an argument.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why CNN bugs me so much, is that it represents a really false neutrality. Like, it acts like it's this non-aligned news group that tries to get all of the debate going, but all they're really doing is shoving whatever point drives up the ratings the most. And you listen to all of these discussion shows they have, and all these panels with all these guest speakers and stuff, and you get the sense that people are watching this are eating it up because they have no idea what these people are saying.
Yeah. Like, television news drives me crazy because it is almost entirely talking heads.
Yes.
Like, it's just people regurgitating the same crap over and over again. Radio's a little bit better, just because they at least have a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
Like, radio has the benefit of, no one's fucking listening to this, we can do whatever the hell we want, we'll make puns.
And I think that is part of the issue of there were too many people watching the news as opposed to actually being invested in issues.
Yeah.
Because there's that sense of, well, you just have to watch the news, every educated person watches the news, but that doesn't actually make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, like, it's so weird. Our generation gets so dogged on for not watching the news or not reading newspapers. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah, like,
have
really?
you watched the news?
Yeah, I mean, I get all of my news by actually physically seeking out events as opposed to reading articles from partisan websites.
Yeah. It's just so weird. And, like, newspapers are dead. I don't know what anyone is doing going into newspapers anymore. Maybe take up jousting on the side. Like, the idea that you can go into newspapers now, it's like, oh, well, people will still always want, objective, fully formed opinions. Like, no. Objectivity will weed its way through. What actually happened will weed its way through all the bullshit in a year. Which is honestly faster than waiting for you to get me an objective, fair viewpoint on the thing.
And I think, to circle this back to the film, you get to those scenes where he films people in wrecks or in accidents or whatever in shoddy neighborhoods, and it doesn't sell. But then the moment it's these upscale people, and you skew it to play on the fact that, look, this is the nuclear-rich white family with kids, and now it means something. As opposed to just, killing is bad. No, killing is bad in general, but killing is worse when it's this type of person. And the news just plays on that so hard, and they don't... I'm sure they realize it, but the people watching don't realize it.
Yeah, and there's that great scene, again, toward the end of the movie, where the guy comes into the control room and is like, the house, it wasn't just some suburban family, there was like a big stockpile of cocaine. And she goes, push it until noon.
Yeah.
We're not running that part of the story right now, because the story right now is this epidemic of home invasions.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite analogies to use in this is that if you look at news coverage of homelessness, the type of footage you get is of the all-American family on the streets to arouse sympathy. When you look at the actual census numbers, it's not like that at all. And it's all about just manipulating the image in that way. So when you get to the very first time you get to that really big rich house where everyone dies, and he doesn't use the footage of the people getting away so he could sell it to them later, and how intentional that is and how calculating that is, and then you realize that it's not that fictionalized. This is clearly a satire, but there's so much truth in it that I'm almost not comfortable calling it that.
Yeah, it's I don't know, is there a word that isn't mockumentary, I guess?
I don't think so. It's really hard to talk about on that level, because it's one thing to exaggerate the truth, but I don't think it's doing that.
I think it might be a little bit, because it's hard to imagine that there's a human being out there that talks like this.
Okay, well, I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal's character is exaggerated. I just mean, like, the things around him aren't. The nature of the people around him and the stuff he's doing isn't something that's fictionalized or exaggerated. It's just him that is.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, and I think, again, that's another thing that would have helped this movie just a little. The technology thing was one thing, but it would have been another thing to just give this movie a nice little nudge more to put it in the 90s, to have the idea that Jake Gyllenhaal's character is kind of the inception of the death of news coverage.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you want to cash in on the whole self-help trend and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The time period thing certainly would have helped, and that would be the only reason I feel like this movie would lose a point for me when we get to the ratings later down the line. I think one of the most interesting things about this is that when you get outside of the editing room stuff, and you actually get to him running around on the streets and him talking to people and the way everything's shot and the way everything's designed and dressed, it doesn't look like a film that has to take place right now. It's not shot in a modern way or anything, so it's very easy to just put on a label that says 1988 in the beginning of the movie and then leave it there, and it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, there's that. There's a couple scenes where you see him using GPS cell phones, and that's about the only technology where you need to find a better workaround.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you could think of something.
It's not impossible to re-edit that or give him something else in his hand to make that work.
Yeah. There's just, it's just little things that I feel like why it's set here, and we've already talked about this, so I don't want to dwell on it, but,
right.
I feel like putting it in the 90s would have helped it a little bit more, because then you could have had that he's the one that began this death spiral.
Right.
Of news not being news but being entertainment. And that's the other really big thing in this movie, and it's the more I think about it, the more I think it is addressed, but I don't know, the advertising side of things isn't addressed as much too, and I guess I would have liked more of that.
That's fair. We get a little bit of that, but nowhere enough to like make a thematic dent, really.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what this movie is really doing is it's more about making you think about a variety of things as opposed to being about a solid amount of things, because it's about the news coverage and it's about capitalism. But I think the whole point of writing this, the whole point that Daniel Gilroy went in when he made this film is more of just I want to hit as many buttons as possible, and whether or not the film explores it is not as important as whether you think about it.
So it's almost symptomatic of its own problem, of the problem it's pointing out. Then, wouldn't you say?
A little bit, yeah. But I think it works for it, though. I think that's the point.
No, I think it's intentional,
Yeah.
but I think that's probably there. Now that you mention it in that specific way, it's just we're not going to give you any depth of this. It's like when the anchors are just speculating. It's like build up to the baby, build up to the baby.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, there's no baby in there. Thank God.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly it, and I think that's part of why it, again, works. And then you get to these other people that do the exact same kind of night-crawling thing he does, and they don't speak the same way he does, but they are effectively the same type of people. And so when you think about that in that context, you just think about a world where this actually happens. I think that's a lot more important necessarily than looking at the individual, whether or not it hits every little button we need it to.
Yeah, I agree. And to be fair, just in case anyone didn't know, no, this is a real thing that people do.
Yes.
And you know, it's crazy. I remember when I was taking psychology classes, because I've taken a few, including abnormal psych. We watched some documentary that was talking about, you know, the big personality disorders, and of course the major one is antisocial personality disorder. That's where you get your psychopaths, sociopaths, and stuff. And this guy, I think, explained it the best I've ever heard. Just because you're antisocial, which Jake Gyllenhaal's character clearly is, just because you're antisocial doesn't mean that you have to go out and start murdering people.
Right.
There are plenty of people who have antisocial personality disorder that just are able to do certain jobs that most people can't, like drive a race car or fly a plane.
Right.
So you get that sense from him, is he's just able to do these things because, well, it doesn't really bother me. I'm not affected by seeing someone choke to death on their own blood.
Yeah.
And you see him push a line that even the other Nightcrawlers don't, or at least presumably don't, when he's like, you know, there's that scene where he moves that fucking body where it really starts to go downhill.
Yeah.
Like, breaking into the house and putting the pictures up near the bullet holes is one thing, but dragging a dead body in front of the headlights to get a better shot is crazy.
Yeah. And I like that you tagged in the presumably, because it's very possible that other people do that. Yeah.
You never know, and with murders, that's even more horrifying when you think about it.
Yeah. I don't know at this point, because we're talking a lot about the news stuff. I'm almost not sure what theme is bigger in this, of the capitalism or of the news commentary.
Like I said, I think, or like you said, rather, I think they are hitting on a lot of buttons and just going back and forth, and so it is kind of symptomatic of its own disease that it's pointing out here.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, like, there's so much to latch onto, and the first time I saw it, and I put it in my top 10 of 2014, I had this one very clear interpretation of this is a film about capitalism, but at least on this rewatch, and at least on this discussion, there's so many other things going on. I feel like this is better suited to just debate and discussion format reviews as opposed to any kind of thorough scripted analysis of one theme.
Yeah, I agree too, because I mean, like, you know, you're talking to me and I work news now, so
right.
that's clearly going to come up a lot more, because I can tell you things about what's going on in this. It's like, yep, someone in... Because most people in production like that are working in Hollywood get a start in professional business stuff by doing, you know, local news.
Right.
Like, everyone at my station right now that does the production side of things, no one is there to do news. They're there because they want to be able to have, you know, familiarity and have something on their resume that's production related. Because, I mean, you know, you can go to Hollywood and, you know, Hollywood has 1 million waiters and 1 million actors.
Right.
And the production staff, they're not pretty enough to be waiters, so they're in the kitchen. So, like, a lot of people in Hollywood and stuff start out in newsrooms, and so you get the whole... You have the sense that the scriptwriters know these guys, and they're probably involved in some way too, because, you know, any foot to get in the door, right?
Right.
And so there's a lot of just the reality going on here. Just the simple things of, when they're back in the set and like, all right, really, really small little detail that just played perfectly for me. They have the reporter out in the field, and he's saying, the cops want to know who shot it. Who do I tell him shot it? And Jake Gyllenhaal's character starts going, tell him I shot it. Like, he starts trying to talk to the TV, and they go, he can't hear you. And then they press a button to talk to him. That's a thing.
Yeah.
Because you don't want the anchor to hear the anchor or reporter to hear everything that's going on in a control room through their ears. So you have to press a special button to talk to those people.
Right.
So it's just little things like that just played perfectly for me.
Yeah, the realism here is intact really well. The fact that there are those moments you talked about where there's the button or just the look of what the control room is or the camera equipment he's carrying around. The fact that they have discussions about the types of cameras he's using and whether or not he's getting good shots off of them.
Yeah, I mean, like, his partner runs there to his death, and he goes, steady hands, steady hands.
Yeah, like stuff like that really goes a long way to make this a bit more terrifying.
Yeah.
I don't mean terrifying in like the literal jump out of your seat sense, but just in the idea sense of this is so incredibly real, and it could have very easily been something a bit more over the top. And Gyllenhaal's performance really helps that because he's able to jump back and forth between those two so well. Like, he's got a very particular performance for when he's just the camera guy, and then he's got a very particular performance for when he's everything else. And he reminds me a lot of, and I guess I'm just thinking about this movie because I offered to do it last time, but he reminds me of Taxi Driver and Robert De Niro quite a bit. Oh yeah,
I mean, there's a lot going on there. They have the same kind of psychological profile, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. That's definitely there, and then also he's got a lot of what made performances and stuff like Max von Sydow and 3 Days of the Condor work. He's just so charismatic about all the horrible things he's doing.
Yeah, like when he's talking to that guy who was, I guess, involved in the accident or whatever before he drags the body about what happened, and the dude's on the phone with 911. And he's trying to get an interview out of him.
Yeah.
He's trying to get a SOT, sound on tape, out of him. And that's just nuts. Just no regard for anybody but himself here. And like, there's the little scenes when he's like driving really fast and cuts somebody off to get over and almost causes an accident and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of that just, again, going back to like some of the capitalist themes of just the very nature of capitalism is to make you care about things that you should not inherently care about. So he is so disenfranchised to the world that he doesn't care about things like moral standing of people. It's just about the success of his company that he's so lost in this fictional or this abstract notion he's got in his head that doesn't actually mean anything. Outside of the universe he creates for it.
Yeah, something that has been kind of nagging at the back of my head. Did you see the trailers for this when it came out?
I did not. This is one of the few movies I've never seen a trailer for.
Okay, interesting, because the trailers actually did something that I like that I wish more trailers would do. They showed shots and stuff from the movie that were like some of the better shots. But they also, it's such a weird thing, they sell the movie completely differently than, not completely, they sell the beginning of the movie completely differently than it is.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because there's that scene in the beginning where he's trying to convince the guy who he's selling merchandise to give him a job. And the guy says, I'm not fucking hiring a thief. Part of his sales pitch of himself to the guy is in the trailer, but the way they cut it makes it look like he's pitching himself as a reporter or something to a news director.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so it looks like he's a fresh in town reporter that's trying to get a job or something. or like, you know, a fresh out of college kid that's trying to get a job in journalism.
That's really
And
interesting.
yeah, and then he sees the Nightcrawlers on the highway with the burning car, and then he which I don't know, maybe that's a contrivance, not sure. He sees that happen, and then he starts getting into the whole night crawling business, and then it looks like he starts to go downhill from like an idealized little portion.
Right.
But no, he's that character throughout the whole movie, which was just really weird to sell the movie that way.
Yeah, well, I think it works though because it's doing the misdirection really well. It's still inherently telling you what the movie's about without telling you what the movie's about.
Yeah, because I don't think people would go to see a movie like it's. To quote Spider-Man 1, people love to see a hero die. So I think they're trying to get you into your seats by like showing you a good guy turn evil, and no, you just get to see an evil bastard the whole way through.
Yeah.
I seriously wonder if he fucking killed that security guard in the first scene.
It's completely possible at this point. I was really disappointed. Well, I mean, I was watching the Academy Awards, so of course I was disappointed. But
yep.
there was a point when you get to nominations for Best Actor and Jake Gyllenhaal wasn't up for anything. It's one thing to not give it to the actors that deserve it, but it's another to just not nominate the people that at least deserve recognition.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, because I mean, I thought this film's acting, or at least from Gyllenhaal, was absolutely fantastic. Forget the fact that the script's really good. Forget the fact that the score is fantastic and the directing's fantastic and the pacing's fantastic. At least nominate Gyllenhaal for how well he does in the role. Compared to stuff like he was in last year with not last year, but the year before with Prisoners, or the movies he has this year Southpaw, and like just the range on that guy that no one's addressing.
Yeah, it's nuts when you see an actor this talented. It's so crazy because this is like I've seen Darko and it's like God, he aged so quickly.
He's not one of those actors that looks the same forever like Keanu Reeves, but
yeah.
But I mean, no, seriously, you watch stuff like Source Code and End of Watch and Prisoners and Donnie Darko. This is a different person movie to movie, and no one talks about that.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what to really say about him. He is an amazing actor in this, and because he just feels creepy like that. I think as bad as he is, scene to scene, you can at least rationalize it. Okay, well, he's an ass. He's a bad person, but more of just in an asshole kind of way because all he cares about is making money.
Right.
Fair enough. All right. I've known plenty of assholes in my life. They're bad people, whatever. But it's at least acceptable asshole behavior that he's not committing the crimes. At least, yeah. Only one crime. Murder, sure, but
it's a very soft line he walks.
Yeah, business competitor. It's okay to commit murder against a business competitor. But the scene where you just realize he's a fucking evil person, is that restaurant date scene.
Oh yeah, the way he just forced her into that relationship.
Yeah, and like I really wonder if there are deleted scenes to this because it almost feels a little bit odd that they talk about it, but they don't like ever show anything. So I was a little surprised by that. He has that big epic speech he gives when he's working out his contract basically, and he goes he has some line about, and when I tell you to do something in the apartment, that goes the same.
Yeah,
I'm like, God, I really want to know what the hell he's doing there too. It's weird. I just want to see him be awful everywhere.
And I mean, we keep using like morally charged words to talk about him, and I keep thinking like, is this a guy that even believes in concepts of morality and right and wrong or good and evil at all, or is this a guy that just goes out and does things?
Just do things.
Yeah, he's kind of like that Nietzschean barbarian sense of he doesn't suppress any of his drives. He just does things. And there's never any question from his side. There's never even any there's no line in the entire film where he ascribes a moral value to anything. He's completely devoid of that, and that's kind of terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, coercing someone into, like, would you think it's fair to say that he essentially rapes this one?
Yeah, he does, psychologically speaking. Yeah.
Coercion into rape, it's just so horrifying, just how smoothly he does it, and just like with a smug fucking look on his face.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if he gets pleasure out of it, is the thing, as much as he just wants to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
And even if the fit in thing is just a matter of, like, it's a means to an end for him. It's not a matter of anything more than that. I'm not even sure if it would have mattered if it was a man, a woman, a kid, or whatever. He would have just done it because he felt like that was the thing to do in that moment.
Yeah, it's, like, I will say, I think he gets some pleasure out of it, because, you know, in their first couple scenes, she is very dismissive of him. Like, he has that, what is legitimately meant to be this, like, compelling speech about wanting to get into news because he sees his future in it. And you can tell he's doing that because he thinks it's a big emotional thing that he should say and that he'll get a reaction for.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell he's doing it to try to convince her that he's dreamed of doing this kind of thing. And it doesn't pay off for him, and so, like, as soon as she walks away, he does look like a little angry at her. And so I think that he's getting pleasure in that scene of making her do what he wants now, of making her jump through his hoops.
Yeah, I do think, though, it's always going to be more about him getting what he wants as opposed to what he wants having any sort of, like, inherent value.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like this is a guy that if you tell him you should eat a Kit Kat bar without breaking the bits, he won't do it. But if he feels like doing it, he will. And it's not a matter of if it tastes better that way or if it looks better that way. It's just a matter of you do it because it enters your mind.
Yeah. I don't know how to respond to that because it's just such a weird example.
Yeah, no, I saw a commercial because the TV's on next to me. I saw a commercial for a Kit Kat bar. No, I just mean, like, it doesn't matter the nature of the situation. Like, there's no context for this guy. It's just a matter of doing things.
Yeah, because you definitely get that with the whole police knock on his door and everything.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I got something ready for you. I just wondered, do I have to give it to you? Do I have to give you a tape? Is there going to be a problem? Do you not want to? No, I just got something ready for you. I just wanted to know.
Yeah, it's so unintentionally funny in that way.
Yeah, he's just thumbs his nose in front of you. It's like, it's just a real son of a bitch. Like, God, I want a sequel to this, or a prequel to this, where we see his home life.
That'd be very strange.
There's stuff like that where I want to know what the fuck produced this piece of shit to the world. And
I mean, I'd even like to think of it as just he's a product of the world as opposed to he's a product of any specific person. It's just a matter of the world is shaped in such a way that this entity exists, and it's not even easy to call him a person necessarily. Like, he's just a walking idea.
Well, like, it's interesting that you say that, because a while ago I had, like, an idea for a story, and I did a couple short stories, and it was going to be part of a series, but I just kind of lost interest in it. But there's going to be a character who was through and through a sociopath, and was able to do, and, like, at first he kind of got into violence in his first story just because he more or less had to. But then he didn't seem all that interested in it. And eventually he was going to have a moral debate about, or a logical debate about committing suicide. And he's like, no, everything has a purpose, even though the universe does not. And so I will make my own purpose. That's the point of life, is to make a purpose for yourself. And so his determination was going to be that his purpose was to be a predator, since he did not fit into a world of what he considered herbivores. And so his whole that was going to be his justification for killing people, and there's going to be a whole thing of it. And I think that's a lot what's going on here, is the world has just produced sociopaths because there's a gap that needs to be filled in the society at this point.
Yeah.
You just need something that's there to fill that predator role. And that's what sociopaths have become in the modern day.
Yeah, no, I can totally see that. It's a really interesting film. I kind of wish we had Alex here to talk about it with us, because I think he'd be able to read into some of that even more than we could. Because his whole thing is that debate of communism and capitalism. So,
I considered texting him tonight, but I was like, or trying to tweet at him tonight. I don't want to try to make him watch like a 2-hour movie before we can record.
No, that's fair. No, but you're right. It's again, just a matter of nature of the world. There's so many Marxist kind of ideas here, like commodity fetishism and stuff, which is the main stuff we're touching on. But even just really small things, like scene to scene, you have his intern. And his intern is kind of a regular guy. He's the most normal there, and you find out that normal people don't survive in this kind of world. Like he's just doing things because he's got his own end in mind, but there's no emotional investment to him. There's an emotional investment in something else, and he ends up dying because of it. That he's so enraptured by everything that Jake Gyllenhaal says to him. But
he ends up dying doing what he loves, according to Gyllenhaal.
And that's hard to say too, because it's not something you can inherently love. It is the idea behind it. That it's so artificial that he kind of dies for everything and nothing at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, Gyllenhaal, it's a complete lie that Gyllenhaal's... Like, I don't even know if he believes in himself at that point.
I think he does.
We always make that joke about Reagan going to bed believing his own bullshit every night. And I don't know whether or not Gyllenhaal's character believes all the shit that he said by the end of this movie. I think he believes that it works, but I don't know if he believes that it's true or not.
Yeah, it's hard to say, because I feel like I almost said I wish we had a scene where metaphorically speaking, the camera stops rolling and we just see this person as how they function when no one's looking. But we get a lot of that, and that's just who he is.
Yeah, because like he does have a lot of those serial killer things where like he keeps all his tapes of like the deaths and shit. And, like, it's totally his trophies.
Yeah.
Like, I watched almost all of Criminal Minds. It's funny, Haley and I watched through 8 seasons of Criminal Minds, and there are 2 episodes left in Season 8 on Netflix, and just said, fuck it, I'm done. Just, I've had enough. No, but it's totally those serial killer trophies things. There are so many things that you can just draw direct connections to with him. And
right.
You'd almost see a sequel to this movie becoming him just turning into a full-blown serial killer. Like, he is to a certain extent, because he's, planning out ways to get other people killed. Like, he does that with the competitors, obviously, and you could argue that he does it to his assistant as well.
Right.
You're going to take my negotiating power again. Don't lie, you would have. It's like, dude, he's fucking dying.
Yeah.
Don't try to justify this shit to him.
Yeah, no, you're right. And the justification thing is weird because he needs to come up with reasons and logic for what he's doing, because other people are asking him to. But there's no reason, right? Like, it's very much the idea of people do things and the justification comes later because of societal makeup. That he doesn't really care about any of this. He doesn't really have a reason for all of it. But because of all these weird business elevator pitches he gives people, he just is accustomed to making up these flawed arguments of justification. And it doesn't matter whether he believes it. It just matters that he can sell it to someone else so he doesn't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's simultaneously the most aggressive, passive-aggressive thing you could do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how you have a conversation with this person, because he's such a weird, dominating personality.
Yeah, I agree. It's just he's a really alienating individual, and it's simultaneously fascinating, and at the same time, it's just how has no one caught on? Well, no, because people did catch on because he was fucking, broke as shit at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think people catch on. It's just a matter of there's a point where he's able to force them into his world, and sometimes he gets forced out of their world. But more often, it's the former.
Yeah, he's able to worm his way in, and once he's got his hooks in, it's all over.
We see it with the newswoman, we see it with the intern, and I love that we get both sides of that example. We get the career woman that's in the thick of this. We get the sociopath that's making this up, and we get the intern that's susceptible to whatever anyone tells him. And it's a really good way to hammer that in. And this is not a movie that has to talk about things from all sides, because it's just, in a lot of ways, talking about the true nature of things. It's not really making an argument for one side or the other.
Yeah, like, I'm trying to think of my third example here. Alright, you've ever seen Lord of War?
I don't think so.
It's Nicolas Cage's best movie. And I know that's not saying much, but trust me, it's a damn good fucking movie.
I was actually thinking, like, whoa, what movies does he have that don't suck?
I remember once having a conversation with a friend about, it was one of those, it was the one where it was like the Sorcerer's Apprentice, that was it.
That's such a forgettable film.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with him with a friend of mine when that movie was coming out. He's like, dude, that movie looks fucking awesome. I'm like, it's Nick Cage. But dude, it's Nick Cage! Yeah, but it's exactly. Dude, National Treasure. National Treasure 2.
Dude, it's Nick Cage. Yeah, it's Nick Cage. Of course I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, exactly. No, but Lord of War is a legitimately good movie, and it kind of reminds me of this in that same way. So, alright, here are my examples.
Oh, it's written by the guy
American
that did
Psycho.
Gattaca. I'm seeing that now.
What?
It's written by the guy that did Gattaca, so I'm going to see that now.
Okay, great fucking movie. So you have Lord of War, you have Nightcrawler, and you have American Psycho. Those are the three movies that I'm kind of thinking of in the same wheelhouse, because they all have this capitalism criteria, as well as a sociopathic character, and this commentary on a major American thing. So
right.
I think these are all in the same vein. There's your anti-capitalist sociopathy movie marathon day, Steve.
Lord of War, American Psycho, and Nightcrawler. Got it.
Yeah. So, like, in Nightcrawler is, and I can't believe I'm saying that about this movie, Nightcrawler is the middle-of-the-road movie. Where we have an individual who is a horrible person that has done terrible things, but ultimately is not completely and totally the worst kind of human being. No, let me rephrase it. A horrible person who's done horrible things, but is at least not a detriment to society in every conceivable way. Alright? So there's your middle-of-the-road villain. Middle-of-the-road movie. Then you got American Psycho, which is on the far side, where you have a horrible person who's done horrible things, continues to do horrible things in the most horrific way imaginable, and is clearly a detriment to society because he's fucking killing people and he works in the stock market. And is, stealing from people, presumably.
Right.
And then you have Lord of War, which is about an arms dealer. Illegal arms dealer. Sells to warlords and all that stuff, but also works with the American government in secret. So, an arms dealer.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, that would be a very good character, like Nick Cage, wherever to reprise this role, that would be the perfect Iron Man villain. But, like, end of the day, he's a really bad guy, but only because of his actions. Who he is fundamentally is very different from these other two dudes. He's willing to make the same decisions they end up making, but who he is underneath it all is very fundamentally different. And that's one of those things that fascinates me. So yeah, I'm thinking of Lord of War in the same context of these movies. And what made me think of that is I remember my mom and I watched Lord of War because it's a damn good movie, and she made me get it out of the house because the idea that a person like that exists scared her. And I think she would have very much the same reaction to this movie. Where, yeah, he does kill somebody, and he does steal stuff, but that's not like... once again, by far, those are not the worst things he does.
Yeah.
Which is, usually killing someone is the worst thing you can do. It's hard to think of much else.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I mean, you bring up Lord Warden. You mentioned he's an arms dealer. Here we've got a guy that spends his entire days filming dead bodies, and then in American Psycho, we've got a guy that not only goes around and kills people, but has weird repressive anger issues because he's constantly having to outdo everyone because that's the nature of business. And it makes you wonder how much of these types of characterizations are just a result of the nature of the work they do. If you look at, I brought up Prisoners before. I really like Prisoners. It's a great movie. You look at that movie, and you have Jake Gyllenhaal in that, and he plays a guy named Detective Loki, which is a hilarious name. And he's completely desensitized to all the horrible things he sees, and yet he's still got the same conviction of wanting to solve all of it. So he's got the same disorder as these other characters. It's just channeled differently. And you wonder, like, if Jake Gyllenhaal's character, instead of reading a whole bunch of self-help business books, read a whole bunch of Sherlock Holmes novels, what would that make him?
Yeah. It's one of those weird things where, like, you really want to see how this guy came. That's why I was talking about earlier. I want to see the origin of this character. Or at least I'd like to know a little bit about it. I'd like to, even if it were a lie, I'd like to hear what he thinks his childhood was like.
Very Joker-esque, yeah. A multiple choice past for him.
Not necessarily. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing what it was actually like, but, like, I would not want to see that with the Joker. But I'd like to see either what he thinks it was like, because I think you reveal something more about him by doing that, or I'd like to see what it was actually like, just because I want to know what the hell made him this way.
Well, I think you could, and I guess that's why I say the multiple choice, I feel like you could do, like, 4 or 5 different, just completely different origins for this character, and they all lead him to the same path. I think that's what's interesting about it, that it's hard to imagine what drove him there, but if you really start thinking about it, there's probably a lot of things that could have made him go over the edge the way he does in this movie. Yeah, that's the scary thing of it. Like, there's no lack of terrible influence in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to know, like, more than anything else, I want to know where the fuck the business speak comes from.
Yeah.
I almost want his dad to be, like, a huge Reagan fan or something.
Yeah, a huge Reagan fan, or a huge John Maynard Keynes fan, something like that.
Yeah, just, like, I want his dad to have, worked on the campaign to get Reagan elected or whatever.
Yeah,
and that's once again, this movie really feels like 90s or late 80s because all the Reagan in it.
Yeah, the more you mention that, the more I wish we did actually get, like, a time card of 1980 something.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. There's, like, so many, not only just with the little things, but just a lot of thematic things. I think it would have worked a little bit better in the 90s. That's probably going to be my biggest detractor from it when we do get to scores here in a minute or two.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't American Psycho take place in 1980 something?
Yeah, it's set in the 80s.
Okay.
They got Ray-Bans and Walkmans and everything.
Okay, because if you're talking about American Psycho's in the 80s, and then Lord of War, I just looked it up, has a lot to do with the end of the Soviet Union and arms wars, and it's got 80s themes there because it's got relations to the Iran-Contra scandal.
Lord of War takes place late, like, it starts up in the late 80s and stuff, but it really doesn't get going until, like, the mid-90s.
Okay.
Or 90s-ish, because, like, what makes him go, like, really he's just selling kind of, like, guns and small arms, but then the end of the Cold War and family connections to all this Russian surplus military equipment is what makes him a major player in the arms dealing market.
Okay, that makes sense. I just mean in that if all three of these films had that same time period crunch, it might serve as a really interesting historical study.
Yeah, because, I mean, we're still dealing with a lot of the fallout from Reagan's policies.
Oh, yeah, of course. That's not going away for the next 10, 20 years.
Yeah, and I mean, Bush kind of made it worse.
Oh, yeah, of course. But politics aside, yeah, no, you're right. It would be interesting to get this movie at least a little bit more detail on the background, or at least the world they live in. Like, I wouldn't be surprised.
It's more than that too, because like, I wouldn't mind it being in the modern day if that added something else to it, and I don't think it does. I think it's actually losing a little something by being set in the modern day.
I wouldn't say it's losing something necessarily, but I think it could be better if it was made in the 80s, but it's not any worse for not being made in the 80s, or not being set in the 80s. Because I still think it works fundamentally. I still think it's a great movie, and the time period thing doesn't bother me because it hits home the idea that this is something that happens now, and that's why it matters. Because you get a lot of people that say a movie takes place in the 80s, so therefore it's not relevant to today.
Oh, no, that's complete bullshit.
It's utter garbage to say that, but people say that. Like, if it's a movie in 1980, then it's a movie about 1980, but that's not true. A movie in 1980 can be about 2015.
Well, no, I mean, like, honestly, Arthur Miller, The Crucible, that's set in the, 1600s. Yeah. It was about 1950. Immediately invalidate their point.
Well, exactly. And I just mean, I feel like maybe the intention is to hit home that idea as hard as possible, that this is something terrifying in the here and now, and it almost feels like a frustration piece. Like, I guess I'm dating this video a little bit, but just in the past couple of days, the shooting in Charleston's been on the news all day, and you had that great Jon Stewart opening monologue where he's basically just done with the way the world works because of all the fallout of that. And it finally makes you click in your head, well, this is why Jon Stewart's retiring, because this is horrible, and this is just the nature of the world, and it's exhausting covering it day to day. I feel like that's what this movie is for this guy. Like, this guy is just tired of the way the world is, and this is his frustration piece set in the now. Yeah, fair enough. When you look at it that way, alright, so I won't say that it's losing something, but I don't feel like it's adding enough being set in the modern day. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's like
I feel like there's no reason not to set it in the 90s or 80s.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I agree. It could be a lot better, or not a lot better, but it could be better in a different time period. It's just a matter of, like, I don't think it's a problem that it isn't in another term period.
Yeah, it's just, like I said, there are just a couple little things here and there where it feels like it probably... You know, I could see an earlier draft of this script clearly being in the 80s.
Yeah, I can see that too. It's not based on anything, though, is it?
No, it's just the way the trend was and everything, because these guys are still running around, but they're not as popular as they were in the 80s and 90s. No,
I just mean, there's no book or anything this movie's based off of, is there?
Oh, not that I know of. I thought you meant, like, true story or something.
Oh, no. I mean, I know the whole Stinger thing is true events. I just mean, like, because the script is so tight, you would think that there might be a novel to this somewhere.
It's possible.
And I could very easily see this working as, like, a third-person kind of novel.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, let's go ahead and do scores. I realize we haven't done scores in a couple weeks. I felt bad.
Okay.
Steve, you go ahead and go first.
All right, I'll give this. Trying to think of something funny to add at the end is all. I give this 4.5 out of 5. Annoying political talking heads.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and give this movie 4 out of 5 awkward dinner rape scenes.
Yes.
you know, because who doesn't want 4 out of 5 awkward dinner rape scenes?
Yeah, you see, it's the fourth one that really sells it to you.
Yeah, there you go. Alright, so technically it's Milan's pick, but he's not here. Wait, hold on. Did Milan just fucking pop online? Hold on, let's... That'd be so fucking crazy if he just did that right when I fucking said that.
Oh, you see, you've got the power to summon him now.
Oh, well, that would have been useful to know, like, an hour ago, Steve.
Well, I mean, you just developed it. I mean, it's not my fault your superpowers were so random.
Okay, and what if I developed it and then I immediately lost it as I tried to call him and he just, like, fucked off?
Then I would say you are clearly a member of the X-Men, because that's every other story arc.
Where they just develop and then lose powers left and right?
Pretty much.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm not an X-Men.
How did an X-Men not come up more in this video?
I don't know. I am not an X-Men guy, by the way, so I could be off base on older stuff. I'm just talking about the fact that the mutants seem to be extinct and then revived constantly.
Well, the guy at my comic shop says the whole, what was it, House of M or whatever,
Yeah.
The whole Scarlet Witch getting rid of all the mutants event happened strictly because Grant Morrison got a hold of the continuity.
Well, not strictly, but part of it's there because Grant Morrison so weirdly shifted the universe when Joss Whedon came on and he reshaped the core X-Men team, and it got to a point where it became very much a couple of people's visions and they couldn't do anything outside of that.
Gotcha.
So House of M happened, and House of M actually had some really good one-shots, like one where, what if Captain America was never frozen, and what would it be like for him to live in 2005 and see the nature of the world change? And he's completely fed up with it by the time he gets to that age. It's really interesting.
Interesting. Okay, Milan's not answering, so it's technically Milan's pick, but if he doesn't answer, then I don't know.
We could come up with like a temporary pick, and if we don't get something from him by next week, we'll just go with that.
Okay, yeah, that could work. We need a review. Oh, I know, we need an idea. Shit.
An
okay.
idea.
I want to talk about something Spider-Man. I don't know what. I just want to talk about Spider-Man. You want to do possible plots for the new Marvel Spider-Man movie?
I don't know if we can
Like
get
just-
a whole hour out of that.
I don't know, just bullshit about what we'd like to see in a Marvel Spider-Man movie.
Okay, I could do that. Yeah, sure. I'd have to consult Dan Torrey.
No, because we did that with Star Wars Episode 7, and we did that with Jurassic Park 4 and a Wonder Woman movie. Yeah, we can get an hour out of that.
Okay, cool. I'm game. As long as Mal doesn't come up with something better, I'm game.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Then I'm in a Spider-Man mood as of late, so.
I really need to get into more Spider-Man. He's Marvel's flagship character. I really like Marvel these days, and I'm not reading any Spider-Man.
Yeah, I told people to leave me comments for Spider-Man single issues to pick up on my comic review show, and someone suggested Superior Spider-Man. I'm like, wait, that's still going on?
No, I think that's over. But a lot of people really like the way it ended.
Okay.
And if you haven't read the Dan Slott Spider-Man marriage thing, I forget what it's called. It's not on me right now. But it's surprisingly good, where Peter's got a daughter and he's married to Mary Jane and he's got like a steady job. It's actually really good, surprisingly.
Okay. I don't know, I might pick that up. I might just add whatever the current, like, main Spider-Man title is to my whole list and just jump in, like you're supposed to do with comics anyway.
Right. No, that's totally fine.
But yeah, I'm in a Spider-Man mood. I've like I was telling you earlier, Steve, but I'll say it on recording. So I bought like a off-brand Lego Big Fig of Venom, like Big Fig Venom, and I'm just fuck yeah. Just ever since I was a kid, Venom was always cool because it was buff Spider-Man, so therefore it was cooler than Spider-Man.
Also, his costume is so badass.
Awesome. What?
Also, his costume is so badass.
Yeah, totally. I saw that they released the entire Alien saga in one collected trade. I'm like, shit, I kind of want to get that. The Alien costume saga.
Yeah, they've got that, and they've also got Michelini's Spider-Man run, most of it collected in trade now, where they actually introduce that stuff. I've never actually read that, but Dan really likes it, and Manos really doesn't, so that's interesting.
Okay. Alright, well, I think this is a good time to wrap up. So yeah, next week we'll be doing Spider-Man Sony Spider-Man possible plot, or no, not Sony.
Sony, Marvel,
Marvel
they're both there.
Yeah, Sony had their chance twice. Yeah, Marvel Spider-Man possible plots. Spoilers.
Many spoilers.
He's gonna get bit by a radioactive spider.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. I was not ready for that, but okay.
Sorry, man. I told you spoilers. You should have hung up the call or stuck your fingers in your ear or something.
Shit. I always thought it was a scorpion that got him, but I guess that would make more sense for the scorpion, wouldn't it?
Spider-Man gets bit by a chimpanzee, turns into Spider-Man still.
I mean, it's not any better than the human spider as opposed to calling yourself Spider-Man.
Okay. Alright, this has just reached the point of silliness. Everyone, thank you for listening. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
I'm the politician.
And we are your geeky gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.